from the top of the Pico de Valletta in Spain. Welcome to the GCN show!
Welcome to the GCN show. This week, 8 rules that all cyclists should break. Or should they?
Steady on with your controls there, Matt. In Tech of the Week, John discusses what you think the bikes of the future will look like. And in Hack or Bodge, we've actually got some genuine hacks this week.
Yeah, these are genuine hacks, unlike this one.
I don't know, Matt. I think that's got legs, if I'm completely honest.
Well, it's got 4.
Yeah, it literally does have legs, doesn't it? And here is a sneak peek of Extreme Corner coming up. This is Red Bull Hardline.
He's on another level. He's up by 0.6 of a second. Last few turns. Oh, he goes. Oh, he hits that tree so hard.
This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that descending is the new climbing. As Vincenzo Nibali proved yet again, that being an absolute demon on the downhills can make all the difference in winning races, as he took his second edition of Il Lombardia. But more of that a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, because we also learned this week that despite the meteoric rise of Zwift, that we're actually not living in a computer simulation, because a team of theoretical physicists from Oxford University have conclusively proved that it would be impossible for us to be living in a Matrix-style simulation. Something to do with exponential complexity.
Well, I'm glad that's been sorted out, Si, but has it really got anything to do with cycling?
Well, tenuously, Matt, because the link is that we feel that you shouldn't attempt to try to break the laws of physics when trying to descend like Vincenzo Nibali. I mean, here he is, look, clearly on another level.
Now, at the time that I took that photograph, we were both travelling in excess of 90 kilometres an hour, and he was actually watching the GCN show at the time.
It's okay, huh?
Big skills.
Big skills. Now, funnily enough, this week we're actually talking about rules and laws, and more specifically, breaking them.
Yeah, now it does often seem that cycling is governed by a hell of a lot of rules. Yeah. Do this, don't do that, do the other. I mean, there's traffic rules, for example.
Yeah, there's the unwritten rules, which are now so entrenched they've had to be written down.
But what really got us thinking about this was the World Championships held in Norway the other week. A raging success they were, of course, but in the individual time trial, there is a specific UCI law that allows riders to change bikes. And they even had a bit of red carpet laid down to facilitate that transition. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think it's just a bit silly.
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
I thought it was a bit rubbish as well, because at the same time, there is a rule that governs how heavy a rider's bike should be, i.e. it cannot be too light.
Nothing like a rule to sort of stifle any technological advances, of course, but break that rule at your peril.
Well, indeed. Disqualification. Just ask Fabiana Luperini, in fact. Yeah, 5 times Women's Giro d'Italia winner, who was disqualified for being just 100 grams underneath. Although, having retired, Matt, nothing stopping us now.
Fine.
Let's break that one.
Like,
oh, yes.
That's a mime of picking up a light bike, but not a swear.
How about, Matt, UCI rule 2.2.037. Riders must not be sprayed from a vehicle.
Sprayed with what?
Well, exactly.
What about this rule then? The UCI is stating there's a certain sock length that a rider must have. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. Wear whatever sock length you like. Break that rule.
Definitely.
Much like many of the unwritten rules, in fact.
Indeed. What about rule number 29?
29.
No European posterior man satchels, or roughly translated, no saddlebags.
Yeah. Break that one. Nothing wrong with a neat little saddlebag, just as long as you don't fill it with useless junk. How about rule number 40, aligning the logo of your tyre with your valve stem? Break that one. Life's too short.
Never broken it in my life, mate. That's one of my favourite of the rules.
What?
I just feel more at one with my bike. It looks better. I feel better as a person. I do feel more at one with my bike. Yeah, do it. And it does make a lot of sense. It makes you feel slightly different.
I might have to revisit that rule then.
Well, what about rule number 22, Si? Basically stipulating that cycling caps are only for cycling.
Try telling that to the beacon of cool Wesley Snipes in White Men Can't Jump.
I mean, look at that. Wesley is looking hipster even before hipster was an actual thing.
Yeah, like beards, which, alas, are now banned. Or at least they are if you were contemplating signing for the Sport Vlaanderen Baloise team.
Well pronounced. Break that rule. Just ask Dan Craven.
What's wrong with beards?
Now, let's move on then to traffic rules, shall we?
Sorry, do you mean laws?
I mean traffic laws, Matt, because some people seem to think that being on a bike means that traffic laws somehow don't apply to them. Either that, or actually breaking them will somehow improve personal safety, like running red lights or something.
So I don't even think there's an argument to be had here, not least because what that ultimately does, on many occasions, is drive hatred towards cyclists, making one dangerous situation potentially even more dangerous than it was in the first place.
Well, I am inclined to agree, but having said that, we can finish this on a positive bicycle advocacy note.
Oh, do you mean a P-ban?
Indeed, a P-ban that actually started with law breaking, because in Milan there was a really important road that linked a residential area, but it was blocked to cyclists and pedestrians. You could ride almost the entire length of the road on an amazing bike path, but you were actually legally prevented from reaching your destination on a bike or on foot.
No, predictably, the cyclists ignored the ban.
Yeah.
The police tried to enforce it.
Yep.
Cyclists then went and painted their own bike lane on it. Then the council and local authorities went and scrubbed it out.
Yeah, so protests ensued. And the result? There's going to be an official bike path. Oh, yes.
Now that is a P-ban.
Oh, yeah. Power to the people.
Definitely. Now, we'd love to know your thoughts on this quite prickly subject.
Yeah.
Should you break the rules, the unwritten rules, laws? Leave your comments in the section down below.
Absolutely. Tell you what, Matt, my two pennyworth. Laws should not be broken.
I agree.
Unwritten rules taken very much with a pinch of salt,
Pick and
as I
mix.
believe they were intended. UCI rules, if you're going to race, you should definitely adhere to them. Just ask Lance Armstrong. And if you're not racing, do what you like.
Definitely.
Although we do not advocate doping in any way. Or motorised doping.
Don't do it.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
We're going to start cycling shorts this week with news of cycling shorts.
I love when that happens.
Well, yeah, but reserve judgment, Matt, until you've seen these. So recently launched in Spain by clothing brand Pedella are these new women-specific cycling shorts. So they're designed expressly to get around that issue presented by traditional bib shorts and needing to go for a pee. And they've done so by, well, adding in their handily placed rear zip.
I mean, you can't deny the practicality there. I mean,
No?
to be perfectly honest with you, Si, I think they're absolutely cracking.
Oh, maybe we should just leave them there and move on.
Definitely. Well, you know there's a new Blade Runner film out.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
It's called Blade Runner 2049. Now, friend of the channel, Steph MKP over on Twitter, has designed and then rendered a variation on the movie poster of that film,
yeah.
starring you, me, Dan, and, again, for the second time in the show, Dan Craven.
Hey, he's done a cracking job there, but I'm not going to lie, Matt. It's still weird seeing myself photoshopped onto the body of a woman.
Did you use straightness for that one?
Yeah, and a significant amount of airbrushing, I think.
You do look good.
Okay, back to perhaps some more conventional cycling-related news here. And you may remember a few weeks back we reported that the Tour de France 2018 may well have some sectors of cobbles, Paris-Roubaix style. And we understandably got pretty excited about that. It turns out there's actually not very much to get excited about. So the rumour is that it'll be on stage 9 from Arras to Roubaix. But there's only going to be 3 kilometres of cobbles. Yeah, now that's not officially been confirmed by the ASO, so we figured that we could still lobby the ASO, the organisers of the Tour de France, to try and get some more in. So go on ASO, now's your chance. It would be amazing, wouldn't
Monsieur
it?
Prudhomme, if you're regarding Set's show, Set's Semaine, please put some more cobbles in because we love it, as do the fans. Anyway, sticking with the tour, it looks like for 2018, Alpe D'Huez is back on the menu.
Excellent.
And as well as that, it looks like we might be getting a little bit of cheeky alpine gravel action on the little-known climb of the Col de Glizière. It's only 1.8 Ks, but we love a bit of gravel. Good to see the tour venturing into the, I don't know, was it the alpine grode scene?
Yes, yeah. They probably haven't done that since tarmac was invented, have they?
Not.
Right, now, do you remember Operation Close Pass that we mentioned a few months back?
Yeah, it was the UK police operation monitoring and reacting to motorists passing really close to cyclists.
Yeah, indeed, the very one. And the great news is that the West Midlands Police, so that's a region in the UK that first started this, have reported a 20% reduction in fatalities and serious injuries in cyclists since that scheme was launched. And it's now been rolled out, sorry Matt, to 22 other police force areas in the UK.
Well, that's a measure of a success if ever you need one, isn't it?
Exactly. Amazing. Except for the Cambridgeshire police, that's another region of the UK, who have said that they will not be rolling out Operation Close Pass. And their reasoning was that it would require cars to slow down and move into oncoming traffic in order to be able to safely overtake.
Idiot!
Wouldn't you think that that's a good enough reason to have it in the first place? You'd always want to slow down when you come up behind a cyclist, and then, when it's safe to do so, which is key here, you then move into opposite lane, then pull back in front of the cyclist quite safely.
Yeah.
As in overtaking anything, in fact.
Exactly.
That's utterly ridiculous, if you ask me.
Yeah, UK Cyclists, based in Cambridgeshire. You know what you need to do? You need to do some bicycle advocacy, because what we want is another P-ban.
T-bone all the way, mate.
So, Tech of the Week this week is a look at some of the favourite comments which we received under last week's GCN show on what you would like the future of bikes to look like. We had from A. Hall and Simon Murray. They are really keen on basically having better battery integration on bikes, so less chargers, one charger for all, that kind of thing. Yeah, I can really relate to you on that. There's nothing worse than going away somewhere and having to take loads of different wires, chargers, cables, plugs, all of that. One plug does the job, ideal. Obi Dave Kenobi, that's a pretty cool name. He would like to see a bike with self-repairing tyres that repair themselves after a blowout. Well, no question, we'd all want this. However, with no change in ride quality, I assume. Well, let us know. What else have we got? Alex Velo. Wireless communication between everything on a road. So cars, bikes, motorbikes, onboard computers, must see, know and predict everything on a road to make roads much more safe. Nice one, Alex. I totally agree with that. Some kind of spatial awareness system so it pops up on built-in sat-navs, all of those things on new modes of transport. And finally, the imported potato. Not sure where you're imported from or to. What do they want on their bike? They would like a fitter version of themselves. Well, yeah, we'd all love that. I would love to have a fitter version of myself. And I reckon Lasty on that climb that day, he would have loved that too.
And we could easily rename Racing News for this week Descending Masterclass with Vincenzo Nibali.
Less catchy, Matt, but go on.
I agree, but he romps away to victory yet again in Il Lombardia, which got us thinking, is descending a new climbing?
Well, yeah, and here's why. Because it seems like in big races on climbs now, there's often almost a stalemate because the riders are so evenly matched. And therefore, in order to try and create those race-winning opportunities, riders are increasingly turning to the descents in order to get those race-winning gaps. So you can think about Chris Froome in the 2015 Tour de France in an unlikely manner doing precisely that. Or in fact, this year's Tour de France, Alpe D'Huez as an entire team were really aggressive on the descents.
Yeah, but as we know, it is a very risky business indeed.
Yeah.
As illustrated quite starkly, in fact, in Il Lombardia. Now, with around 50 kilometres to go on the descent of the Somano climb, there were 4 independent crashes, but on the same bend. And one of those crashes, most spectacularly and caught on camera, was Quick Step Floor's Laurens de Plus, who hit the Armco, flew over the barrier with his bike, completely separate to his bike, and plunged down a ravine. And quite miraculously, only escaped with a relatively minor hairline fracture to his tibial plateau.
Yeah, unlike poor old Jan Bekelans of Alpe D'Huez Le Mondial, who crashed, as you say, on the same corner. And we are feeling for you, Jan. He's broken 7 ribs and 2 vertebrae. And although his crash wasn't captured on live TV, photographer Christopher Roman was there on the scene, and he tweeted this picture of his bike later on, which kind of tells the story, doesn't it? I tell you, it's a super sensitive subject, isn't it? Clearly you need to train for descents, but where do you train safely? And then perhaps more fundamentally than that, how hard should you push it in the first place?
I mean, clearly we should ask Vincenzo Nibali, because he absolutely flew down the final descent in Lombardia. He had Thibaut Pinot for company initially, but gradually, hairpin by hairpin, he drew clear of the Frenchman, who couldn't simply match the speed and finesse that he was descending at, until by the bottom, Nibali had eked out a 5-second lead, which he then capitalised on, and it was never closed.
Yeah, not only that, poor old Pinot then got caught by the remnants of the bunch, from which Julien Alaphilippe of Quick Step Floors had already escaped to take second. And there was actually Gianni Moscon of Team Sky, the bad boy du jour, who capped off a quite remarkable season, finishing 5th at Paris-Roubaix and then 3rd at the incredibly hilly Il Lombardia. Fair play.
Not bad at all. Then a couple of days earlier, well not then, but previously, a couple of days earlier, in the traditional warm-up race for Il Lombardia at Milan-Torino, it was Cannondale Drapac's Rigoberto Urán who prevailed on the 4.5k climb to the line, leaving in his wake some of the world's finest climbers. Adam Yates was second, Fabio Aru third, and Nairo Quintana was fourth.
Yeah. Right, Matt, you ready for it, mate? Can you get the old...
Give us a moment, mate. And just clear my throat. It's been a couple of weeks. It's time now for GCN's Wattage Bazookas!
Our nomination for Wattage Bazooka this week was sent in by Morten de Kilde. Apologies for pronouncing your name like that. Danish is not my strongest suit, but nevertheless, he points out that Mikkel Bjerg has just smashed the Danish hour record with a distance, more than respectable distance, of 52.311 kilometres. But then when you take into consideration the fact that he's just 18 years old, that's frankly stupendous,
That's pretty amazing.
isn't it? What a ride.
A burgeoning talent right there. Because he gets the Wattage Bazooka and the hour record in addition to being the under-23 World Time Trial Champion as well.
What a season.
What an absolutely amazing
Congratulations.
season. Hats off by that. Now, on to, rather rapidly, the viewer Wattage Bazooka of the week. And it's one of the first double headers that we've actually had. It's a husband and wife team. Now, they dominated in both categories in the London Urban Hill Climb Championships.
Really?
And there they are, the husband and wife team. That's Dan and Jess Evans atop the podium, riding for Assos Equipe.
Yeah, there you go, guys. There is your Wattage Bazooka. Right, now before we leave racing news for this week, or what was we going to call it? Descending masterclass with Vincenzo Nibali. Yeah, okay, we've got to give a shout out to Matteo Trentin, who has just won Paris Tour, rounding out his 7-year career with Quick Step Floors before he's off to Orica Scott for next year.
Second time in his career, just nudged out Soren Kragh Andersen off somewhere.
Right, it's time now for Hack/Bodge of the Week. And we've actually got to start with what really is the Bodge of the Week. And it was Dan and John's handiwork last week. Got to make an apology.
Come on, John, we're playing that, mate.
Yeah, come on, John. Apparently, what they said was a peculiar array of tubes was the iconic flying gate.
I've heard of that, you know.
Yeah, I bet you have.
It's
This
slightly older.
an 80s frame, yeah. So we had a load of comments: sausage, egg and chips, Henry Bayliss, Charles Garay. Yeah, they all said that that is the flying gate frame. So apologies for that. But we're going to make amends with the first one from this week, sent in by David Tully on Twitter. He said his rear derailleur was a normal short cage Tiago rear derailleur. It couldn't cope with an 1132 cassette, as they can't. So to fix it, he took the B tension adjustment screw out, put it in the other way round, and boom, he's hacked a short cage rear mech to work with an 1132 cassette.
That's quite major, isn't it? That's
Genuine
an achievement
hack.
on many levels.
Yeah.
But Shimano watching this and thinking, that guy's a genius.
Yeah, or like, no, you can't do that.
Probably, we don't know which. Wade Sellers, when in need of some cleat screw spacers whilst on the road, basically, he's used some ring pulls there from some discarded tin cans or aluminium cans, as they're now known, and they make cracking little washers.
Yeah, to be fair, I am bizarrely often without the spacers there, or whatever they're called, washers. So yeah, cracking hack
Again,
there.
lateral thinking again.
Absolutely. Unlike this one, which is not exactly lateral thinking.
No.
Sent in by Nick Tomhav. He ran into this quick lightweight repair job, he said the other day, which appears to be electrical tape holding on a shifter, which we don't recommend.
I'm hoping that's just a temporary procedure. More interesting to me, though, Si, is the fact they've got the tyres matching the bar tape on that photo. Absolutely.
Well,
cracking.
at least they're adhering to the rules.
They are indeed.
Which, of course, as we already pointed out, are breakable and to be taken with a pinch of salt. Yeah, exactly. Now, this one from Jose Lafarga, I really liked, actually. He said someone has used an old chain to keep their saddle from being stolen. Now, it's clearly not an impregnable lock, but it's a bit of a deterrent, that, and it kind of looks a bit grungy. I think that's a hack.
Can you imagine that if you targeted that bike for nicking something off, you'd have to take a chain link remover with you and then an Allen key to remove the saddle. Well, next up is this from Thomas Horsky. Mighty Cross helmet mount kit and a few plastic cable ties. The only proper place for a headlight.
To be fair, I quite like that, man, because you know one thing, I'm not exactly, OCD in my outlook on life, but it really annoys me when you have a front light mounted on a bike and it's on one side of the handlebars. Does that annoy you as well?
No, it does, and sometimes they can get in the way
They bash your knee.
of your knee and also your hands as well. That, I must admit, is very, very aesthetically pleasing.
Why are there not more centrally mounted front lights?
Bike manufacturers, need to take a look at this.
That is another genuine hack there. I told you it's good. This one from Will Blades. I'm not sure quite what it is. I'm still trying to work it out, if I'm honest.
Okay.
Punctured inner tubes help divert a leak using a plastic tub weighted with a CO2 gas cylinder.
So that basically is like a plumbing hack, sort of with bike parts or an inner tube, rather than an actual bike hack. I don't know how it's managed to migrate into this section. Do you know what? I'm loving it.
Plumbing hack or plumbing bodge?
Plumbing bodge.
Plumbing bodge. There we go. Right. Some genuine hacks there, as well as a plumbing bodge.
Yeah.
If you've got anything to share with us, make sure you do so using the hashtag GCN hack on various different forms of social media. We absolutely love them, so please make sure they keep coming in.
Especially ones to do with plumbing. Time now for caption of the week. Last week was this picture. And the winner is...
It looks like it's been staged there. That's not an airbrush.
It does. It's not.
Prosecco bottle, isn't it?
Actual... Is that one of those things you put air in and blow up? Because he's got remarkable forearms.
You mean an
from Visconti.
inflatable?
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't remember what they were called. That's remarkable forearms from Visconti, unless they've drunk all of it already. But anyway, the winner of the bead-on is from James Nicholas. This is actually pretty good. Rigoberto couldn't wait to provide his urine sample. That is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm liking that.
Not strictly relevant to the picture, I don't think, but still, a lot of you thought so as well. That had a lot of thumbs up. Now, this week's caption photo is this one of Nairo Quintana. Matt, do you want to get started?
Ooh, got some chicken in between my teeth.
I don't know what to say to that one, mate. I'm sure you can do better, and by now I'm sure you know what to do. Any caption competition entries go in the comments section down below. We sort through them and then we pick out the best, all of which I'm sure will be better than Matt's. But the very best will get a Camelback water bottle.
I thought I set the bar pretty high there, so
well, it's not bad, to be fair, mate. It's not bad. It's just, no, honestly, it's
Larry's a fan of chicken as well.
Is he?
Yeah.
Really?
On the channel this week, on Wednesday, we have Dan demonstrating how to bunny hop.
So, there are two parts to a properly executed bunny hop. You don't just pull both wheels up at the same time, but rather pull the front wheel up first and then follow through with the back wheel.
On Thursday, it's a perler, 7 magnificent ways to hang or place your helmet. Okay. The chair swing. Favoured by those who A, aren't in the helmets on tables camp, or B, don't want to put their helmets on the floor. The way in which the helmet is hitched to the chair will be determined by the style of chair itself, meaning there is a fair bit for the hanger or owner to consider. And on Friday, ask Mark Beaumont, he of Around the World in 80 Days fame, anything. That was good fun, that was.
Yeah.
Great chat.
It was indeed, yeah. Settle yourself down, find a comfy chair,
It's
make
a
a
long
cup
one.
of tea. Yeah, we didn't have comfy chairs, nor cups of tea, in fact, but we enjoyed chatting to him nevertheless. Saturday's pro bike is actually not a pro bike at all. It's Matt's bike, but it's a very special one because we've got a really cool video coming soon, which needed a special bike, and it was Matt's. Indeed. Then on Sunday, we've got a little investigation about how stem length affects the handling of your road bike. It's been one that we've been wanting to do for a long time, so make sure you watch that one. Then on Monday, we are back in the maintenance set with a Maintenance Monday.
And on Tuesday, it's not a GCN show, but from an as yet to be announced secret location.
Yeah, you mean Taiwan?
Yeah, Taiwan.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a secret.
It's going to be good though, because we are, of course, going to the Taiwan KOM Challenge.
I'm quite nervous for you, but at the same time, super excited.
Well, also, Matt, we've got a string to our bows, a bit of extra strength in our armories, because Vincenzo Nibali, as we've already said, is a descending demon.
Yeah.
But it's a 100 kilometre hill climb race, so he's not going to be able to use that one on us, is he?
I think he's going to got all his eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
It's all about downhill now. Descending isn't the new climbing. Climbing is the new descending.
Climbing's the new climbing.
Yeah.
When you're in Taiwan, it is.
Yeah.
So he's got no advantage over us whatsoever because we're just going for 100 kilometres uphill. Yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Vincenzo. Yeah, me too. I've not done enough riding. It's now time for Extreme Corner, and as we've already given you a sneak peek of at the beginning of the show, it is Red Bull Hardline, which is so hard that I'm not sure even Vincenzo Nibali could go down this.
No way.
Oh my word! That's brilliant, isn't it? I love watching Red Bull Hardline. Unfortunately, though, it does mean that we are now perilously close to the end of the GCN show. But before you go, quick reminder, if you haven't already entered, the Tatici gravel bike competition is still open. It's an epic prize. You get to design your own Tatici gravel bike and then potentially win it, which is amazing. So make sure you enter. The entry link is in the description down below.
And we're also perilously close to the onset of winter.
Well, some of us, not all of us, out there.
A lot of us. But if you fancy some cool new winter fan kit, GCN fan kit, head up to the shop and have a little look. There's some cool stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do also make sure you subscribe before leaving this video. To do so, just click on the globe. It's completely free.
It certainly is. And how about clicking just down here for 7 ways to make your bike more pro?
Yeah, or for a cheeky little video that Matt and I shot a few weeks back in Alpe D'Huez, it is road versus gravel. Just how much slower, if at all, is a gravel bike on the road compared to a road bike?